There are breakups that don't happen because of betrayal. No cheating, no third person, no explosive fights. It's just that one day, they start going quiet more often, replying slower, checking in less, needing you less. And then you realize something terrifying. In this generation, people don't fall out of love all at once. They slowly disappear. Love. In a time where everyone is ready to leave. Have you noticed that? We're living in a world where someone can text you, "I miss you," at 2 a.m. and completely ghost you the next morning. A relationship can begin with, "You feel like my soulmate," and end with, "I just need time for myself." Back then, people were afraid of losing each other. Now, people always keep one foot near the exit. And the scariest part isn't heartbreak. It's the feeling that nobody stays long enough for you to trust love again. Maybe lately, you've felt this too. You still text people every day. You still laugh. Still post stories. Still like romantic posts late at night. But deep down, you don't really believe in love the way you used to. You start reading texts defensively. You love people while secretly preparing yourself to be abandoned. And whenever someone treats you well, your first thought isn't, "This person really cares about me." It's, "How long until they change?" According to recent social studies, Gen Z and millennials are the loneliest generations despite being the most connected online. We have hundreds of conversations, but almost no real emotional connection. Dating apps made meeting someone easier than ever. But because of that, people slowly started treating each other like options. If it doesn't work out, swipe again. If things get difficult, leave. If the relationship stops feeling exciting, find someone new. Modern love feels like a Spotify playlist now. People get bored after a few songs and move on, and the saddest part is, we eventually bring that mindset into relationships with people who genuinely love us. There's something strangely tragic about love today. We can talk to dozens of people every single day, yet struggle to truly open up to just one. The human brain was never designed for this kind of world. Years ago, meeting someone new meant effort. You had to go outside, wait for a date, spend time building connections slowly. Now, all it takes is a few swipes, a story view, a late-night notification, and every single time that happens, your brain releases dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the happiness chemical. It's not exactly happiness. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, the feeling of maybe, there's someone more exciting out there. Maybe someone prettier. Maybe someone who understands me more. Maybe something better is waiting. That's why so many people today aren't addicted to love itself. They're addicted to attention. They're addicted to feeling wanted, feeling remembered, feeling emotionally desired at 2 in the morning. And for a moment, that attention makes them feel valuable. But here's the problem. Dopamine is strongest during uncertainty, the beginning stage, the waiting, the chase, the unread text, the "do they like me back" feeling. The brain craves pursuit more than stability. So when a relationship finally becomes calm, when your heart no longer races every time the phone lights up, when comfort replaces intensity, people panic. They think, maybe I'm not in love anymore. But that's not what happened. For the first time, they simply moved beyond the dopamine high and stepped into something deeper. Real attachment, real emotional connection. Unfortunately, we live in a generation where everyone is taught how to attract people, but nobody is taught how to stay. Social media constantly convinces us that there's always someone better out there, someone more attractive, more interesting, more emotionally available. So instead of repairing connection, people replace it. It's faster, easier, less emotionally uncomfortable, and eventually something heartbreaking starts happening. We became the generation with the most options, yet the least sense of belonging. Pause. Do you know what's truly exhausting about modern love? It's not the breakup itself. It's the temporary feeling of everything. Someone can tell you they love you today and disappear tomorrow with a single text saying, "I don't think we're right for each other anymore." No argument, no explanation, no real ending, just gone. And after enough experiences like that, people start loving defensively. They stop texting too much, stop expecting too much, stop trusting too deeply. Because somewhere deep inside, everyone is terrified of becoming the one who gets left behind again. Maybe that's the greatest tragedy of modern love. We all want something real, but we're living in a world where leaving has never been easier. Back then, loneliness meant having nobody around. Now, loneliness is lying next to someone and still feeling emotionally unseen. We're living in an era of emotional isolation. Everybody talks. Very few people truly listen. Everybody wants love, but nobody wants the vulnerability that comes with it. Because opening your heart means risking disappointment, replacement, abandonment. So people start loving halfway. They don't text too much because they're afraid of seeming needy. They don't care too openly because they're scared of losing value. They don't fully express their emotions because they're afraid the other person won't take them seriously. And eventually, two people can deeply care about each other, while both pretending they don't need each other that much. In psychology, there's something called attachment styles. Some people love from a place of security. Others, the closer they get, the more afraid they become of losing someone. Or the more intimacy grows, the more they feel the urge to run away. And the truth is, many people grew up carrying wounds they never healed from. They've been cheated on, ghosted, abandoned, made to feel like they were never enough. So even when the right person finally comes along, they still don't know how to trust, and eventually, something dangerous happens. Emotional numbness. You stop crying the way you used to. You stop chasing people. You stop asking why someone changed. Not because you've become stronger, but because you're exhausted from hurting over and over again. You start saying things like, whatever. You stop expecting too much. You stop imagining a future with anyone. And the saddest part is, some people never lose the ability to love. They only lose the belief that someone will stay. I once heard a girl say something that stayed with me for a long time. I'm not afraid of being single. I'm afraid of finally trusting someone and watching them disappear. She met someone kind. He texted her goodnight every evening, remembered small details about her life, called her whenever she felt overwhelmed, and slowly she started thinking, maybe this time will be different. Until one day, his replies became slower. I've just been busy. Then, I've been emotionally drained lately. And eventually, I think I need to focus on myself right now. Do you know what hurt her the most? It wasn't the ending itself. It was the fact that she had already felt him leaving long before he actually did. Women often notice when someone emotionally checks out. They feel it in the energy, the shorter texts, the delayed replies, the emotional distance. But they stay quiet because part of them hopes they're just overthinking. And honestly, that's what breaks people the most. Not the final goodbye, but the hundreds of tiny moments that slowly make them feel less chosen. Pause. You know, what probably exhausts people the most these days? Not work, not money. It's constantly having to start over emotionally, meeting someone new again, learning to trust again, retelling your life story again, opening your heart again. while deep down, you're still bleeding from the last person. Some people love very coldly now, not because they're heartless, but because they once gave someone every piece of their heart and still got left behind. So now they've learned to expect less, need less, depend less. They call it maturity. But sometimes it's just a lonelier version of themselves. And the painful truth is this: a lot of people today don't leave because they stopped loving you. They leave because they don't know how to communicate emotions. They don't know how to stay once the excitement fades. They don't know how to face their own unresolved pain. We were taught how to attract attention, but nobody taught us how to maintain connection. So people became incredibly good at starting relationships and painfully bad at staying in them. There's a quote that feels painfully accurate for this generation. We have too much self-awareness and not enough emotional availability. Everyone understands trauma now. Everyone knows about red flags. Everyone talks about healing. But when it's finally time to sit down and be emotionally honest with each other, people go silent. And if you're listening to this tonight, feeling emotionally exhausted from love, please remember this. The fact that you still want to be loved after everything you've been through is already incredibly brave. Not everyone who leaves does it because you weren't enough. Some people leave simply because they were never emotionally mature enough to stay. And someday, you'll meet someone who doesn't make you question where you stand. Someone who doesn't disappear when things become serious. Someone who chooses you not only during the intense moments, but also during the quiet, ordinary days. Maybe that's what real love actually is. Not constant intensity, not endless butterflies. Just the quiet feeling of, no matter what happens, we're still here. And if you've ever loved someone silently, been abandoned without explanation, or felt too emotionally tired to start over again, maybe this video was meant for you, and maybe somewhere out there tonight, someone else is listening to this at 2 a.m. too, hoping that the next time they fall in love, they won't have to be afraid of being left behind anymore.